everyone, my name is Clumsy and welcome to my channel. This is actually my second video and I'm super excited. I like to talk about otaku content that is like stereotypically geared towards women, but you know, anyone can enjoy it. So it's like shoujo, josei, romance webtoons, K-drama. I'm gonna talk about it. And today we're talking about one of my all-time favorite shoujo mangas, Skip Beat. I have still a long history with Skip Beat. I just love it so much and I'm super excited to talk about it with you guys. Okay, I wrote down a nice list. Hopefully, I didn't reread Skip Beat too much. I reread it like 3 times and I rarely ever reread anything. But like Skip Beat is just like something I just had to talk about. Okay, so the theme of this video is why Kyoko is basically like the coolest shoujo heroine ever. Okay, coolest is like relative. This is my thoughts. This is basically what I think. But I feel like Kyoko has like a lot more personality than a lot of these like shoujo heroines you read about. A lot of them are pretty much the same and like their personality is bland. I remember I was talking to my cousin about it who also watches anime and I asked him about his like opinion about like shoujo heroines and he said like he wasn't there talking about shoujo. He said that he was so tired of, you know, the main guy choosing the girl that's so boring. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually another way to think. Like, you know, the stereotypical good girl, Japanese, perfect kind of woman, ideal type. Well, it is like we do understand that these are like Japanese shows and then a lot of things are geared towards Japanese audience and we just happen to love it. So that does make sense, but we're also part of the audience and that means that we can't comment and stuff like that. So before we're gonna begin, I'm gonna basically talk about my personal history with Skip Beat, and I'll also be talking about the fandom. I love the fandom, and basically I'll tell you what Skip Beat's about. If you haven't read it yet, it'd be good if I share it. I did write down what I want to talk about before I get totally confused. I'm gonna try and get better at talking about what the story is about. What to love about the story, and basically why I think Kyoko is such an amazing heroine. Okay, so my personal story with Skip Beat. I started reading Skip Beat this is almost New Year's, this is December 27th. Yes, I started reading Skip Beat almost 7 years ago. So 2021 will be 7 years of me reading Skip Beat. Skip Beat has been there since 2002. And I am part of like a Facebook group and you see people commenting and say like, I started reading this when I was in middle school. I have a kid now. Like that's how long Skip Beat has been going on. And it's just like, it's a good thing, but like a bad thing because Skip Beat is one of those monthly release and you're just like scared that like the mangaka won't finish it. That is actually an idea for like another video that I want to work on, basically talking about romance comics where we might not know where they end, like where they like don't get an ending or like just left hanging, you know, stuff like Nana, I Love You, you know, those kind of like romance situations. You're like, will she ever finish the story? And you're just like worried. But Skip Beat is one of those really long running comics. When I read it, I just finished Tokyo Crazy Paradise. I didn't just finish. I had seen Skip Beat a while and I read Tokyo Crazy Paradise. I love Tokyo Crazy Paradise. It is actually done by Yoshiki Nakamura as well. So they're the same mangaka for both Skip Beat and Tokyo Crazy Paradise. The reason I hadn't started Skip Beat immediately is because I didn't want to start something that was ongoing. I wanted to wait for it to complete. It's a good thing I didn't wait because I would have been waiting over 7 years and yeah, I'm still here waiting. We just made some big milestones at the moment. Like, I almost cried. Like, I just can't read Skip Beat in public because I will just embarrass myself. So, I read it in it's called Senior 3, Form 3, or the 9th grade. And I just was obsessed. I connected with Kyoko so much. She was such a fun main heroine. I love her so much. And what happened is this was when I used to live in Uganda. I don't know. You guys probably don't know this. I used to live in Uganda for 11 years. I was born in Minnesota, but I lived in Uganda for 11 years and I moved here and back in the States. So hello. And I would, whenever like I find out that Skip Beat had like updated, we have this thing called airtime where it's like you prepay for like what you can call. So basically you have like a certain amount of money, and I never had airtime because I was poor. I just never had airtime. And I would just like put 200 shillings. I don't know how to convert 200 shillings. 200 shillings is not a lot of money. And I'd call my aunt from work and say, don't leave me, I'm coming back. Because it was either that I go at 5 with her, or I wait till like after 6 o'clock to go with my mom, because our school ended at 5. It was from 7:30 to 5 p.m. And I would like run all the way to my family runs a bookstore. I would run all the way to like my family bookstore and just like, okay, I'm here, and get in the car so I could go home to where there was Wi-Fi and I could read the latest chapter of Skip Beat. I loved Skip Beat. Actually, it was me and another girl. Her name is Nithu. I'm actually going to try and like show a group call, because we always like call each other about the latest chapter. Just know we would just talk nonstop about Skip Beat. Skip Beat was just like a huge part of both of our lives, and I legit wrote a letter, even knowing pretty well that the Uganda Postal Service would probably never get it to reach Yoshiki Nakamura. But I loved her so much. I was like, this Ugandan girl, just writing her a letter, telling her how much I loved her, and I wish it could update a little bit more often, because like under my calculations, there should be at least another 200 chapters left in it. At this rate, you'll reach like 70 before. I was that kind of fan. I understand. I'm sorry, but like, I loved her so much. I would pray for her. I'd pray that she'd live. I'd pray for 2 things, like, no, not 2 things, but I'd pray for 2 anime related things. 1 was that Yoshiki Nakamura stays healthy. 2, that Ichigo ended up with Orihime, because I was like an avid shipper at that time, and Bleach was just my life. Like, which is, okay. So that is like a quick history with it. I don't know how much more. I'll probably like think of things, but like, I just love Skip Beat every time. It was just something that it was like almost like a reason, like something that kept me going, something to look forward to, made like all like stressful things so much better. My day could never be bad when Skip Beat was updated. Nothing could ruin my day. If I was sad and Skip Beat came out, everything was like 100 times better. I just loved Skip Beat so much. So I'm going to talk about the fandom a bit. This is basically, I'm hoping with my experience, if you haven't already, you will like go and read it first. The fandom. I actually joined 2 Facebook groups. 2 Facebook Skip Beat groups for like a few thousand people, and it's such a cool community. Chill listening, people talking about the latest chapter, people crying, because people is just so nice and calm. And what, like, you know, when like scanlators would like stop, or we could be in between scanlators, they would probably try and find like, oh, the latest chapter is out and you can read it out here, but they don't do that anymore. I don't know the specific reason why. Probably communication from the scanlators wanting them to go to the different site. I'm not sure. But I remember when we were actually doing a crowdfund to fund the dubbing of the Skip Beat anime, so that it could come out dubbed, so that we can get more people watching it. I remember they advertised it in the group, and people were donating money so that they could make like the Skip Beat dub, and it's such a cool community of Skip Beat fans. A lot of them are like even a lot older, like Skip Beat fans, because I tell you, it's been going on for a long 18 years. Like, that's a full grown adult now. So yeah, they're great. I love, if you're part of the Skip Beat fandom, I love you. Now, we're going to talk about what Skip Beat is about. And if all that stuff has encouraged you to read it, well, here's the story. So Skip Beat is about a girl named Kyoko who lives in Kyoto with her childhood friend Sho. And Kyoko is this like naive, young, pretty. Well, Kyoko's beautiful, but like she's just an innocent person who believes in like fairy tales. She has a huge infatuation and love for her childhood friend Sho. She believes that Sho will be her prince charming in life. She believes in fairy tales and happily ever after. And Sho actually asks Kyoko if she wants to move with him to Tokyo to pursue his dream of becoming a singer. And Kyoko says yes, because, you know, that's her prince. She's like ride or die for Sho. And she moves with him to Tokyo, and she gets 2 jobs. Not 1, but 2 jobs. She doesn't go to school. She's like 16 at this time, 15. Yeah, she's 16 at this time. I'm not sure what time they are when they move to Tokyo, but like, she just knows, the story starts when she's like around 16, and she's working 2 jobs. She's not going to school. just so that she can fund Shou's dream. And then Shou is starting to do well. He's starting to like pick up, you know, enter the charts. You know, he's doing very well for himself. And Kyoko decides to give him like a snack, sneak him a snack after his show because, you know, she loves him that much. And basically she overhears him talking to his manager about how Kyoko is so boring that they wanted him to act. His family actually wanted him to marry Kyoko and own like the family inn. They ran in Tokyo, but she's such a dull girl. I'll probably just send her back. She's basically just a maid. And Kyoko hears this, and her heart's broken, but not to the point of tears, but to the point of furious rage. And she just unlocks demons. Like, she just unlocks these demons inside her, and she's so mad that even like feels like they're under attack by forces they can't see. And this is when we're actually introduced to like Kyoko's demons, which are kind of like recurring characters in the story. They're actually pretty important to the story. They're kind of like, if you read the webtoon Yumi Cells, the demons are kind of like that, but they're not like for different personalities. No, they're just her demons, and they're just like have some kind of like weird kind of mysterious kind of power in like the physical world, even though they're just from her. And he's like, he basically has her kicked out and says like she'll never amount to anything and she should just go back to Kyoto. And oh, she's so mad. And basically to get her revenge, Kyoko decides to become an actress and beat Shou in the showbiz industry. And that's basically where the story starts. It's Kyoko basically trying to become the #1 actress in Japan. Well, just so she can beat Shou. But as the story progresses, she realizes how much she loves acting, and she starts to blossom within herself and basically loving herself more and no longer wanting to be, she still hates Shou, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But she's no longer doing it for Shou. She starts doing it for herself, and like, it's such a beautiful story. And like, I don't know, like, you just need to read it. Wait. I was just about to start it. People are gonna be upset if I don't talk about it. Yes, there's a love interest in this show. The love interest is my baby, Suruga Ren. Suruga Ren is currently like the top showbiz idol in Japan. He's a big actor, and Shou hates him because he wants his spot as #1. And like, Suruga Ren works for the same company that Kyoko does, and he doesn't like the fact that when he meets Kyoko, she's only acting just for revenge, and he feels like that is such like he feels like she's giving a poor name to acting, despite the fact that, you know, because he takes acting really seriously, and she's just here for revenge, and she just doesn't respect it. So they just basically have a really uncomfortable relationship at that point. Yes, I have to talk about Ren. I didn't want to spoil too much, because I know I probably spoiled a bit of my Remarried Empress video. You can check it out in the description. But yeah, that is what Skip Beat's about, and just such great. So what to love about the Skip Beat manga is that once you read a lot of shoujos that are basically about romance and whatever, it kind of gets repetitive and it's the same thing over and over again. Like, there is comfort in repetition and like doing something you really know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just want a nice something comfort, quick to read, but like, you kind of want more. And I feel like shoujos or like romance mangas where like romance is like, it's a major theme, but it's not like the main theme, are a lot more enjoyable than ones that where it's strictly just romance and stuff like that, because you're kind of motivated by different aspects of the story, and the story feels a bit more realistic, because in people's lives, it's more than just romance being the central part of their life. They're going through a lot more than just that. They have family, they have friends, they have struggles, they have, you know, school, goals, life, and Skip Beat has all of that, and that's what makes it stand out even more. It's just like Kyoko's struggle with love is really interesting, because it's not something like, she knows that she actively does not want to be in love, and I absolutely love that. She actively doesn't want to be in love, And that's why she's named as the lovely member #1, because she's just lost her ability to, you know, to love. And I remember there's this one scene that happens in Skippy, where this is like later on in the story, where she like probably there's like a change in her and stuff like that. I don't want to say too much. The world of Skippy seems a lot bigger than a lot of shoujos, because they did go to like, they do travel in the manga, but like the place just feels so real. Like there's a whole, like, when you read a comic and you hear about side characters, once they're not like part of the story or not actively like being talked about, they don't really feel important if they're not like, when it comes to like the story, like the main character. The world revolves around the main character, which is to be expected. But the people around them don't seem, like, what they do, what they achieve, do not seem important at all. They're just like there. You just, oh, okay. They don't like influence the story at all. Anything they achieve doesn't influence the story. Anything they do on their own. But with Skippy, when each character achieves something or changes, it somehow affects the full story as a whole. Especially through friends like Kane. Like, if you read the later chapters, Kane is growing, and that's actually kind of like, she is growing as a character. She is taking journeys, doing something that will develop herself. And it's kind of sad. It is really sad for me as like someone who's grown up, has Kane there the entire time. But I'm so happy for her. And because of this development, the main character Kyoko is doing things to help her. And even her environment is like changing because of what's happening with, you know, the characters around her, like the different characters. And I really feel like that's what makes Skippy stands out. But yes, Kyoko is like, she's the heroine with the most personality out of all the shoujo heroines I've ever read about. She has the most personality, and y'all can argue with me, but like, if you think about it, it's just so true. So, but I want to tell you why. We're going to explain it together. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to think about a shoujo manga, not a josei, a shoujo. You're going to pick a shoujo manga heroine. She has to be the main character. She can't be like the love interest of the, like sometimes shoujos have no main characters. No, she has to be the main character. And you're going to think about her personality, everything and stuff like that. And before you choose that character, make sure that it's the point where you could legit write a fan fiction about them. Where like, if you put them in a certain situation, like an odd situation, like a zombie apocalypse, or stranded on a desert, or you know, stuck in traffic, you would know how they would react in that situation. Like, and not just like, oh, they'd be upset, oh, they'd be angry. No, what actual activities they would do. You know, let me give you a simple example. But if Kyoko was stranded on a desert island, say stuck on a desert island, on a deserted island, I'm pretty sure that Kyoko would probably, because she's super dramatic, first she'll run absolutely crazy. She would probably like lose her mind first, and then she'll like burst into tears. Then afterwards, she'll probably like collect herself together, and she'll like remember something she probably learned from like a movie or something, and try to like survive for a bit. Because Kyoko has a lot of like skills on her own because of being in some random schools that be helpful. Because she can't cook, she's pretty like self-sustaining herself, and she'll probably cry a lot, and she'll probably make some kind of like dolls or whatever to communicate with. She'd make a sandcastle of Moko-san and start talking to it. That is basically what some things I would believe Kyoko would do. Now, these sound like super creative, and if you can't like really come up with like those things to your main character, then your main character is kind of dull. But we're going to go more into that. Sure. We're going to go more in depth into Kyoko's character. Kyoko has like the basic shoujo manga, like great, lovable heroine, basic, oh, she can cook, she can clean, she's smart, you know, A student, whatever, you know, talented in many things, you know, the basic thing. It's not like something we haven't heard before. But let's go into our other characteristics. Kyoko believes in fairies, right? Fairies, fairy tales, Cinderella. She loves that. She breeds that. And what really is great about it is that these things affect how how things happen to her in the story. Like if you have like like read a shoujo and they have like a weird like quirky kind of thing. I'm trying to like think of one where someone like, please name a shoujo where like the main heroine has like a little quirky thing, and it's not just like a one-time thing. Like it just appears once, or as when you, or like just when the mangaka wants to make a quick joke. I won't lie, Yoshiki does make a joke with that her love for fairies every now and then, but it's consistently there throughout the story. Like it even exposes her a lot in like different parts, because you know she loves like romance and fairy tales, that basically people can lie to her, but just by using a fairy tale, and she would like believe it, and this actually affects her so much in the story, and that's what makes her feel so real. It's not, I don't know if it's a fault, I wouldn't call it a fault, but it's not even a weakness, it's just her naivety and her love for fairy tales is just like an integral part that can actually influence how the story will progress. I know I'm being repetitive because I don't want to spoil what happens, but it's just really nice how Yoshiki does that. I tried to think of like main characters in shoujo mangas that have like a quirky or a nice like little trait that they have that is like consistently repeated in the story, and I can't really think of many in shoujos. However, I did try and think of some. So there's this one it's called Slow Motion Momo Ichido. I'm not sure if it's a shoujo. I'm reading it and the storytelling level is almost josei level, but it's about middle schoolers, so I believe it's a shoujo. And basically the main character, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry. The main character falls in love with a girl who loves 80s music. They both love 80s Japanese music, and they dress up like Japanese idols, and that's something they love together, and it's such a cute story. Another thing was, I thought of Kira from Mars. She loves to draw, she loves art, and that's consistently there, but I won't lie, she's not like a very multi-dimensional character. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Kira. That is my baby. I love her so much, but her personality is really not that exciting compared to Kyoko. Then I also thought about Hana from Hana to Akuma, who loves roses, and they do consistently use that back and back in the story, and I do appreciate that. It's just like something that makes like a character feel more developed and multi-dimensional, just three-dimensional. This feels more real. The next thing about the personality with Kyoko is her little demons. Now, her little demons is what I mentioned about in the story. Her little demons were in a box locked up, and they broke out after Sho made her so mad. And her little demons just add on to her personality, because her demons can sense bloodlust, anger, jealousy, all that evil stuff, because that's the stuff she feels on the inside out, because she was so mad at Sho. And because of that, she almost has like superpowers, but not having superpowers, because this is a show. This is not like a fantasy shoujo. No, this is like a regular thing, but she can use her like little demons to like stop people in their tracks, or like scare people out of their mind. And even though she's like the sweetest thing ever, she's like evil at the same time, you know? Oh my gosh. Let me even stop right there. 2 days ago was Kyoko's birthday. Her birthday is actually 25th December. So happy birthday, Kyoko. Let me just say this. But yes, back to the thing. So she has like these demons that sense all like anger and stuff like that. And she uses it to kind of like defend herself or be cautious of things. And like, that's just so cool. Like, what kind of like, it's such a cool, this makes her character more interesting and more like, it's fun. Okay. Here's another thing that really stands her out against a lot of other shoujo heroines. Kyoko doesn't want to be a mom. Okay, a lot of people are like, wait, what does that have to do with anything? A lot of shoujos will have like the basic, the go-to kind of like perfect woman wants to be a mom, loving, caring, can cook and clean. Like, in my opinion, Kyoko would be a great mom. Like, there's no question about it. And actually, me and my friend, the one I was telling you about earlier, who we both loved Skippy so much and we call each other in the latest chapters, she was asking me like, oh, if Ren and Kyoko get married, how many kids do you think they have? And I'm like, you remember Kyoko doesn't want to have kids. If I think about it closely, I think they'd only have one kid. If her and Ren do actually end up getting married, I pray I live to see that day. I think that if they have kids, they only have one kid because one, Kyoko's only child. I think Ren is also an only child, but she doesn't seem like the type, like, I would love for them to have many kids, but I do not see them having many kids. And I feel like that's quite a thing for shoujo mangas, for like the main character to be like, yeah, I don't want to have kids. The reason she doesn't want to have kids is explained further on in the story. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's a really nice arc. Yes. Skippy has arcs. That's what makes it even more beautiful. It has arcs. Like, not a lot of shoujo manga, like, there are not a lot of things in shoujo manga. There's not a lot of shoujo manga where you can say, like, oh, there's this arc. Like, you usually use the term arc in shonens, but yes, Kyoko has arcs. Okay. Kyoko is overly dramatic. She's like me. She's overly dramatic, like, and she's consistently overly dramatic. Like, things, like, serious things, but like, it's mainly for minor things. For like the smallest inconvenience, Kyoko will burst into tears. She'll roll in the ground. She'll like pout. She'll sit in a corner. That is just like, she's that overly reactive kind of person. And that's just so, it's charming and funny at the same time. Especially with her friend, Moko-san, Kane, because Moko-san, let me just say, her nickname is Moko-san. Her name is Kane, and her last name is Kotanami. I believe that's right. So Kane, Moko-san, Kotanami. And Kane is a little bit more serious. She's super serious. She's about her work. She wants to do well. She doesn't want to live a life of poverty. She's very serious. And Kyoko is the complete opposite of that. And that's why it's really nice that they're put together, because it forces Moko-san to kind of like become softer, which is like super nice, beautiful friendship right there. She is practically romantically brain dead. Okay, I know I already said this, it's probably not shocking, but Kyoko is just romantically brain dead, and it's frustrating. It is absolutely frustrating, and it gets in the way of the story sometimes, and I feel like that's also great because it's a consistent theme in the story. It's kind of why a lot of things do happen. It's why she's like Love Me member #1. And the way Yoshiki really takes advantage of it is what makes Kyoko more interesting and makes Skippy more interesting. It's like, I'm gonna compare it to One Piece. I have like my 2020 chopper plush thing right here. So Kyoko is so brain dead, and this will like influence her brain dead. Love dead, brain, like her heart does not work, and this will affect the story and the way events go on. The same way like how you know that if there's a plan in One Piece, Luffy is gonna screw up the whole plan and Zoro's gonna get lost. You know that's gonna happen. And because that happens, you know the story has to change and shift to respond to that. And that is something Yoshiki Nakamura does time and again inside the story, which makes her character more, just more, I don't even know what word to use. Just find a good word to describe, a good adjective, and put it here. Great, thank you. That's it. Hopefully you chose something nice. Okay. I think that really is about it. That's what I wanted to talk about. No, I really should have I'm not gonna, so me saying that Kyoko is like has the most personality out of all these shoujo mangas, I'm gonna probably stand by that message. It doesn't mean that and the rest of them are bad, no. Like, you're free to love and just feel affiliated and just feel like close to a lot of these other heroines. And that's perfectly fine. I just find that there's not a lot of sides to a lot of these characters, and I feel like having more sides make a person real, because you're not the same side everywhere. You're more than just like kind, nice, this, and you have one problem, like, oh, you're bullied as a child, and like, I'm not saying bullying is not a serious thing. Bullying is a very serious thing, but like, I'm talking about how these heroines just just are pretty boring. And being boring doesn't mean you're bad, but like, I just wish we could see more like Kyokos out there that just make things just more interesting. And this is kind of why I believe like webtoons are doing pretty well, because the webtoon heroines are a lot more they're a lot more creative in their character design. They have more faces. They're more exciting than a lot of shoujo heroines. I wanted to make a video about like shoujo mangas versus romance webtoons and why romance webtoons seem to slowly be taking over. But yeah, just tell me if you want to see that. I probably will make it anyway because, like, you know, I don't have many subscribers, so I can do whatever I want with my channel. But yes, I think that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. This is a lot shorter than my Remarried Empress video. I hope it is. And yeah, see you in another video. What is that thing? Oh. I don't think, did it stop? Let me see.